Elias had reached the lowest point of his life. The fields he had tended with care were barren, his family had turned distant, and every prayer he whispered seemed to vanish into a void. He felt utterly abandoned, believing God had turned his back on him. One stormy night, Elias sat under a broken roof as rain drenched the streets around him. He screamed into the darkness, "Why have you forsaken me? What sin have I committed to deserve this?" The silence was deafening, and it only deepened his despair. As dawn approached, a hunched old man appeared, offering him a loaf of bread. Elias hesitated, unsure why a stranger would show kindness when even God seemed absent. Taking the bread, he asked, "Why would you help me?" The old man smiled softly and said, "Because in every act of kindness, God's light shines." These words stirred something faint within Elias, a flicker of warmth he thought he had lost forever. The old man beckoned Elias to follow him into the wilderness. There they walked for hours without speaking until they reached a small, clear stream. The old man knelt by the water, cupping it in his hands, and said, "This stream doesn't choose whom it quenches. It simply flows, as God's love does, even when we cannot see it." Elias listened, but remained skeptical, his bitterness too deeply rooted to dissolve so easily. The old man then gestured to a tree standing tall despite its hollow trunk. "This tree survives not because it is whole, but because its roots reach deep. God's presence is like those roots, unseen but vital." A days passed as Elias stayed with the old man, learning to see the world differently. He began noticing small blessings: a sunrise, the laughter of children, the taste of bread. Slowly, his heart softened, and the walls of anger he had built around himself began to crumble. One evening, as they sat watching the stars, Elias whispered, "I thought God had left me." The old man placed a hand on his shoulder and said, "God never left. It was you who closed your heart to him." Tears streamed down Elias's face as he realized the truth. His pain had blinded him to the quiet, constant presence of divinity in the world around him. In that moment, Elias felt a profound connection to something greater than himself, a peace he hadn't known in years. When Elias finally returned to his village, he was a changed man. He worked his barren fields with renewed determination, helped his neighbors without expecting anything in return, and prayed not for answers, but with gratitude. Life remained challenging, but he no longer felt alone. He carried the wisdom of the old man in his heart, understanding that God's presence wasn't in grand miracles, but in the simple, everyday acts of love and resilience.